Greetings, ladies and metalgens, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series, Humans Don't Make Good Familiars. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Book 2, Part 39, Jake's Point of View. The haze returned, flooding my field of view again. When it cleared, I was standing in the middle of a city, like an actual city. It was different from my world, but it was also unlike anything I'd ever seen in this one. In every Niama city I had seen so far, the buildings were sculpted like art. They were equally made from living materials and molded stone, but these were concrete. Sure, it had some artistic element. Some had runes engraved, others had flowers growing in small patches, but they were far from akin to what I was used to. "They've made good use of my people's runes," Zachariah said, admiring a fountain that used runes to flow the water around in the air. "I'm surprised that your people took to them so quickly." His runes, I thought. What? I admit, when you showed me this magic, I never believed that it would ever become this widespread, Anbos said, fluttering alongside Zachariah, who was still watching the flow of the water. "It's impressive how versatile these runes are." "I only did it to see what would happen. I never expected it to work," Zachariah laughed, as he and Ambos left the fountain. "Wait, what?" I thought, shocked. "Zachariah invented runes?" "So, Ashem's successor, what's he like?" Zachariah asked. "I do not know. I've never met him before, although I am told he is quite young," Ambos answered. "And I'm not sure why, but apparently his ascension to Ashem is somehow controversial." "If you've never met him, and I've never met him, why did he ask to see us?" "I assume it is because our relationship with the previous Ashem, or with..." Ambos stopped for a moment, then sighed. "With the Chaos Dragon. It's a strange thing to take a man's, or rather a dragon's name from him as the punishment. Names have power, taking them away is a punishment." Ambos flew over and landed on Zachariah's shoulder, then looked up at the sky. "They're here." Zachariah looked up and saw in the distant sky 3 figures. They were silhouetted in the sky, 2 large serpentine shadows on either side of a much smaller winged shadow. I expected them to land like last time, where the winged one landed hard and the serpent one landed gracefully, but instead they all spiraled down towards a soft landing. The winged Western-style dragon was small, very small for a dragon actually. It was the same height as Zachariah, though clearly larger than other aspects. Its body was broad and its wings made it look even more so. The smaller dragon was a pale green color, and the 2 larger ones were both shades of gray, the darker and lighter accents on their bodies and heads. "Greetings, I take it that you're Ambos and Zachariah?" the little dragon asked in a young-sounding voice. "We are. I am Ambos. This is Zachariah. May we assume that you are Ashem?" "I am." The dragon, Ashem, bowed its head, spreading its wings. Ambos did the same. Even Zachariah kneeled, which surprised me, because I didn't know that was something Vikings did. "Ashem, please remember your position," one of the larger dragons protested as he bowed. "Show respect to the trusted allies of my predecessor supersedes normal formalities," Ashem said. The larger Eastern-style dragon sighed. "Your kindness is appreciated, but your attendant may be right." "I disagree. It is a wise leader who can humble himself when he sees fit," Zachariah said. "You speak the truth, Zachariah, a truth my predecessor took to heart as well. Lord Ashem, may I ask why you summoned us here today? Is there some sort of problem, or do you need assistance?" Ambos interrupted. "Straight to the point. You are as we described to me many times, Ambos." "I apologize for any rudeness, Lord Ashem." "No need. I value directness." "Dang, this kid's more mature than half my co-workers back on Earth," I thought to myself. "If you will be direct, then so shall I. My ascension has been difficult, and there are many who wish it to not have happened. I would like your support in the future regarding my decisions with the Chaos Dragon." "What decisions?" Zachariah asked bluntly. "To leave," Ashem answered, just as he filled my view again. "Vic this," I groaned, annoyed that I hadn't been able to properly finish a single memory. "Ow!" I was suddenly overcome with pain, emanating from my arm. The haze faded again, and I was surrounded by fire, looking up at the Chaos Dragon. "Left behind!" he roared. "Did you expect anything less?" Zachariah asked, glancing down at his arm, which was covered in blood and burns. However, it was healing quickly. faster than even Suma's healing magic. Beside Zachariah was an unconscious and blood-stained Amboss. Deja looked around at the burning forest that surrounded us. "They left me behind to be forgotten." He raised a claw towards the trees and extinguished the fires with magic. "But if my brethren refuse to remember me, I will ensure this land will." Without lowering his claw, he started casting a spell. A purple cloud poured out of him and engulfed the trees. It left a purplish-silver coating on them, which was absorbed rapidly by them. "What was that? What did you do?" Zachariah asked. "Made a memorial," the dragon answered, spread his wings, and flew away, picking up Amboss. Zachariah turned around and ran towards the nearby city at the edge of the previously burning forest. By the time he arrived, Amboss was starting to wake up.
"Zachariah?
Amboss, are you okay?"
I felt better, but what happened? Did the dragons..."
"Yes, they left at Myria after their portal closed. Deja appeared and laid waste to everything. He did something to the sacred forest, then flew away."
"Which way?"
"Northwest."
"The settlement?"
Amboss said, upset. "Probably."
But there is nothing left there. What could he be after?"
"I don't think he's after anything but revenge now."
"His own son led the dragons away, left him behind, and even ordered an attempted assassination on him. Who knows what he'll do now?"
"He and I are a lot alike. I think I know what he'll do.
"What?"
"He'll go raiding."
"To what end?"
"To the end of everything," Zachariah said. Amboss looked at his injured chest and wings, then cast a healing spell on himself.
"We need to go to the settlement."
"You want to fight him?"
"He's not going to give us much of a choice. He attacked the sacred forest, just killed dozens of your people, and who knows what he plans to do next," Zachariah said, setting Amboss down, then standing back to his feet.
"Two mages cannot beat a dragon, especially not a master of negative aether. We need an army."
"Then let's go ask the king for one." "Jake!"
Suma's voice screamed loudly, breaking my memory and waking me up. The next thing I knew, I was in a stone room tied down by vines, with several Niema and their familiars around me. End of chapter. Book 2, Chapter 40. Jake's Point of View. As I looked around, realizing I was actually able to control my body and that I was awake, it became very clear that I was not in a good situation. "Familiar Sentinel, you stand accused of violating royal decree and illegally using the forbidden death magic to kill several members of the Queen's royal mages," one large and bright blue female Niema said, loudly. She was perched next to another Niema who was surrounded by several large familiars, the Queen herself.
"Jake, are you injured?"
Suma asked, over our private connection. She sounded very worried. Yeah. I'm sore, but I think I'm okay."
"Does the defense have any opening statements before the memory delve begins?" the large female Niema asked. A voice I think I recognized spoke up from behind me. "I would like to remind the court that we have already proven by a voluntary memory delve performed on Lady Suma and myself that the mages that were killed illegally attacked my team first, killing several members of my squadron. What took place was justified self-defense, not murder." "Is that the captain who was with us?" I asked Suma. "Yes. He survived the attack and offered to operate as our legal defense."
"I'm on trial?" I asked. My brain finally started to catch up with the sudden shift.
"Unfortunately."
"What happens if we lose?"
Suma stayed quiet for a moment. "We may both be executed, or worse."
When she said that, my first instinct was to try and break out of the vines that were holding me in place. I jerked against them, trying to get free, but they barely budged. The female Niema next to the Queen must have noticed, because she spoke up. "Those bindings have been reinforced with magic and were created specifically to hold physically powerful familiars. Even one as strong as you will not be able to escape them, and should you attempt to use your magic to break the bindings, the 4 royal mages around you will not hesitate to kill you." "Jake, please do not fight them," the captain said. "Just cooperate and this will be all over soon." I thought about it for a moment, sighed, and relaxed.
"Good. With all parties now present, we will begin the memory delve,"
the Niema said, and several others flew over and landed beside my head. They started to perform the ritual, but this time I noticed something different. There was a large crystal ball-looking thing near the Queen, and when the ritual started, it began to glow. "What's that?" I asked Suma, out loud this time, nodding towards the ball.
"It is a magical device that will allow everyone to see the memories in question," she answered. "A viewing crystal. Familiar Sentinel, you will answer every question asked you to the best of your abilities, and without lies. Do you understand?" the Queen said.
"I do."
Good. Then we will begin.
Sentinel, did you utilize death magic? The female Niema asked.
No.
Lies!
A voice to my right shouted, but was silenced by the queen. She looked at one of the Niema performing the ritual next to me. I see no memories of the event in question, Your Majesty, the Niema said.
And I cannot find any evidence of tampering with his mind, said another.
We saw the battle during the memory delves of Lady Suma and the other survivors,
the angry voice said, but not as loudly this time. Sentinel, can you explain this? Did you alter the memory in some way? The queen asked, confused.
I didn't attack anyone, Queen Umpera. My body was being controlled, I said, looking up at the queen from the floor. She turned the crystal ball and watched it as memories from my conversation with Zachariah in the void played. Actually, everyone was watching that crystal intently. What is this? Who? When Zachariah and Daja's name, the queen lost all of her glittering glow, and all of her feathers pressed down to her body. She and everyone else continued to watch the crystal until the end of the memory played, and Zachariah and Daja reformed back into a single being.
Hey, dragon!
Someone behind me yelled. The room filled with confused and panicked voices until the queen silenced everyone. Enough! She shouted, and a large pylon that I hadn't seen hidden behind her throne magically lifted into the air before slamming itself down with a crash. The room fell dead quiet in an instant. The memory delve is over. Everyone get out, she declared.
Your Majesty,
an angry voice from earlier asked. Out! With that, a dozen Niema I hadn't seen behind me at all flew out of the room, leaving only Suma, me, and the queen, as well as her guards. Even the female Niema next to the queen and the captain left. Sentinel, that dragon, do you know who he was? Yes, Queen Emperor, and I guess you do too. She didn't answer me, but instead her eyes began to glow, as well as the eyes of all the guards in the room that I could actually see. Jake, what do you mean? I do not understand. You meant a dragon. Is this not a reason to celebrate? Suma asked, confused and slightly worried over our private connection.
That was the Chaos Dragon, I answered.
Her glow vanished just as the queen's had, and I felt her emotions as she became very worried. I looked around, and one by one each of the guards was starting to look worried as well. The queen's eyes stopped glowing. Sentinel, tell us about these memories that this flaming figure Zachariah mentioned. I explained the memories I had seen, about how Zachariah and Daja met, and everything else. They listened closely, occasionally asking questions. Why not continue the memory delve? You could see everything for yourselves, Suma pointed out after a few minutes of talking. This matter is sensitive. A memory delver is not to be trusted with it. Not yet, anyway, the queen said. Please, Sentinel, continue. I resumed explaining, and after about 15 minutes, I had told them everything I had seen up until I was summoned here. A heavy silence fell over the room again as the queen's eyes resumed their glow. Jake, Suma said through our connection, does this mean that you cannot return to your home?
Yeah, I said, the reality of that finally dawning on me. Oh man, my mama's gonna freak out. Frick, I said, and felt my heart starting to race. I can't breathe, I said out loud, starting to panic. The vines suddenly felt like they were choking me. I was getting claustrophobic. I can't breathe! That drew the attention of everyone in the room.
Jake,
Suma asked, not sure what was happening. Loosen his restraints, the queen ordered. The vines that were holding me in place loosened, and in my panic state I started pulling them again. In hindsight, I was probably having a panic attack. I struggled against the vine, but unlike before, they didn't feel as strong. My right arm broke free, and immediately I started pulling the vines off my head and neck as well.
He broke his restraints,
one of the guards shouted, sounding confused. Hold! Do not attack him, the queen shouted, as some of the guards in the room began casting spells. At this point, my breathing was ragged and heavy. I don't remember when, but at some point, I'd started sobbing. End of chapter. I would quickly like to thank our Tier 5 patrons, Dragzoon WRE, Quantum Wednesday, AmbroseKTal, Lord Ashrakal, Bushmaster 177, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, and Arcadian. Thank you very much.